Portals of entry. Have any of you guys drove from like Salt Lake to here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a sign that says like port of entry. Have you seen that? Every single time I see it, I think of portals of entry. It's like every single time now since I took this class. And so now it's going to haunt you guys too.
Is it the one right before Pocatello?
I don't know where it is, but I see it every single time. So portals of entry. This is how we talked about transmission. It's how it gets to you, but now we're going to talk about how it really gets in you, inside of you. Okay? So, who can name one?
Skin.
Skin. Okay, that's the one that's like the least common out of all of them. Why?
Because it's really hard for...
Yeah,
I
think
it
of-
gets through as like fungus and worms.
Yeah, think of your skin. Are you guys, any of you anatomy or know anything about this?
Yeah.
Love it.
Okay, so what's this first part up here? This
It's the... I don't know the names, but...
epidermis?
Yeah, epidermis.
I'm just explaining this, you don't need to get into that much detail. The epidermis, what are the cells like there?
Dead.
They're all dead, okay? So, one, we have, that's very simplified, we have a ton of layers of these dead cells. And so they physically have to burrow through. Now, it's really hard to do that. One, there are these tight junctions and they can't fit their way through the cells. Two, let's say they get this far, somehow they get that far. What happens to those cells though?
It is sloughed.
They're shed, right? So he gets there and then, oh dang it, I spent like 2 months doing that. And so they're just shed off. Skin is the best barrier in your body. It blocks like 99% of everything. Is that okay? So skin's really good. It's a bad portal of entry though, because a lot of bacteria do not have the capability of actually burrowing through the skin. The skin is also, it has a lot of oil on it, which means there's not much water, and they need the water, and it's actually pretty acidic. So the skin is not good for bacteria. Is that okay?
Mhm.
So you'll never see that portal of entry. If it has to do with the skin, what is it going to be called? There's another portal of entry that has to do with the skin.
Parenteral root.
Parenteral.
Parenteral.
Parenteral route. How is that different?
Something helps it get through.
Yeah.
Like a stab or something.
So it gets through the skin, but the only reason it does is because you got like a massive splinter that goes through, and the bacteria are on the splinter. Think of vectors. The mosquito bites you, okay? You didn't eat the mosquito, you didn't breathe in the mosquito, right? The mosquito bit you, which means it's parenteral route. So any break of the skin could be a nail, a mosquito, a dog biting you. I don't know. You cut your hand while opening a can of food that has botulism in it. Anything that has a parenteral route. Don't think it has to be like just like a nail or anything. It could be alive, like a mosquito. It actually bites through your skin. So it's going through the skin, but it's not, the microbe isn't doing it, it's an object that broke your skin. Is that okay? Okay, what's next?
Mucous membranes.
Yes. So mucous membranes. Does anyone know what a mucous membrane is?
How would you tell? Like your stomach has a mucus lining. It's like anything with
Yeah.
a mucus lining, right? It's your intestines too as well.
Yes, yes. But we're going to talk a little bit more specific, more earlier in the process.
Like orifice.
Yeah, so remember our skin is a really good barrier, but we do have some holes in our body, some orifices, right? So at every orifice in your body, or hole in your body, we have something called mucous membranes. Those mucous membranes, if I were to draw it out, they have these big cells that look like this, and then they have these hairy things. So let's say your respiratory tract. Along your esophagus and down here, you have these cells. What are those cells called? Do you remember? They secrete mucus.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're called, you're close,
Never mind.
goblet cells.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have goblet cells, And what do goblet cells do?
They're just a secreted.
They secrete mucus. Mucus is really good because it's really sticky and it traps the microbe. And then what are these hairs called?
Cilia.
Cilia.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the cilia beat. They go boom, 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 and they just keep beating. So if a bacteria lands here, gets stuck on the cilia and the mucus, and the cilia and the mucus work to kind of wave it up. So it gets stuck here, and they wave it all the way back up, and then what do? Cough. And it comes out. Or it actually goes into my gastrointestinal tract, and then I eat it.
Yeah.
So it can do a couple things. The working of the cilia and goblet cells together, like the mucus and the cilia, is called, don't freak out, the mucociliary escalator. Now don't freak out. Mucus.
Yeah.
Ciliary, cilia. Escalator, think of the mall. You step on the escalator and it moves you up, right?
Are we gonna have to know that?
Yeah, so if you don't need to know on this test, you need to know on the next one.
So how do you write it?
Alright, right here.
And it's the process that's called mucociliary.
It's more of the teamwork between the cilia and the mucus produced by the goblet cells. They create this mucociliary escalator.
Okay.
Okay, is that okay? So at all these holes in our body, our body is smart. It knows, okay, our skin's really good, but I have to get oxygen in the body, right? So I have to have holes in some places. I need to get food in the body, right? So I'm going to need to have holes in some places. And they know if you have a hole, not only food can get in, but also bacteria and viruses. So they have these mucous membranes that have the mucociliary escalator, then they have a ton of antibodies on them, a ton of white blood cells and macrophages and all that. Okay? It's kind of like customs when you're getting into a new country. So every single opening of your body is going to have these mucous membranes. So what's one of the openings?
Respiratory.
Respiratory. So in the test, you would never just say respiratory. You have to say mucous membranes, respiratory tract. Is that okay? That's why I'm putting it. I'm not going to write it every time, but I'm putting it under mucous membranes. Is that okay? What's another one?
Your mouth.
Yeah, so that could also be respiratory, but I'm assuming you're saying eating. So that's your gastrointestinal tract.
And then there are your eyes, but it's called something fancier than that.
Yeah, this gives me conjunctiva.
Yeah.
Think conjunctivitis, pink eye.
Okay.
And I'll say last one because no one ever guesses it. It's genital urinary. STDs. And remember, for all of these, you have to say mucous membranes before. And you're right, you have these mucous membranes all over your body. But for right now, we're just going to focus on these. Okay? So for the diseases now, you need to know what's the portal of entry and what kind of transmission. Like if it's tuberculosis, where does tuberculosis go?
Respiratory.
Respiratory. So what do you think it is?
Mucous
Mucous
membrane
membranes,
respiratory.
right? Cholera, I told you you get from drinking water out of an infected lake or stream. What would it be?
Mucous membrane, gastrointestinal.
Yeah, those are the two most common. HIV obviously is genital urinary. Conjunctivitis is conjunctiva. That's not very common. You have this thing called the lacrimal apparatus that just like your tears are constantly flushing your eyes. That's why you get like the gooey stuff when you're starting to get sick because it's just like a buildup. Skin obviously isn't very common. Parenterals look okay. So like tetanus, malaria, a lot of like malaria, Lyme disease, West Nile fever, dengue, any of those. Is that okay?